So we are going to get started with this really fun presentation and fun interaction. But before I get started with the fun, I wanted to talk about death. That's supposed to be, yeah. It's a really memorable way to get started with something like a fun presentation is to start with death. The reason why I wanted to talk about that first is I actually went through a period of time the last 18 months where there was a number of family members who were who passed in my family, and it was a really thought-provoking time, as obviously you would expect it would be. But the thing that came forward in the process of both the celebration and the grieving of people passing that you care about is you realize what really matters and how important it is to have fun with your very, very, very short life. And I don't exclude today. You are all here in this moment in time, and we better not waste this moment. This better be an enjoyable time for everyone. And that's my expectation for all of us as we present. That's my expectation for the engagement that we have today. And I'd like to talk a little bit about what makes something fun. First of all, some air conditioning to make it fun. First of all, we are made to solve problems. That's what we were made to do. We're all constantly trying to solve problems. And we need to be engaged in order for fun to really come forward. You really can't play a video game half-assed and have fun with it, right? You have to go all the way with whatever it is that you're doing in order to have fun. So there's engagement, there's problem solving, and there's been a lot of studies that talk about how the depth of fun that you have in your life, enjoyment that you have in your life, and the breadth of fun that you have in your life has to do with the types of problems that you're engaging, that's the depth, and the community that you engage in your life. Why waste your single precious asset of your life doing anything that is not fun? And so I'm really excited that you're all here today. The reason is because we are engaging a really fun puzzle in this lifetime that we all get to share together as a community. There's a little thing called climate change. Some people think it's fake news. Some people think that there's some merit to it. But no matter what, there are different ways to build homes. There's different ways to engage the life that you live in the industry that you reside in. So whether you're a builder or a real estate professional. How many people know about this book? Yeah, a lot of people do. Not everyone. This is a New York Times bestseller talking about solutions for not just curbing or slowing climate change, but actually reversing some of the effects. And the topic for today is net zero energy homes and buildings. And I'll just read to you the description of what that is as just like a basic primer to what this discussion is going to be about. What was once an engineering challenge and architectural oddity has become an alternative construction method available all over the world. A net zero energy building is one that has zero net energy consumption, producing as much energy as it uses in a year. In some months it may generate excess electricity. At times it may require electricity, but on balance it is self-supporting. And along with using less energy, net zero energy buildings are more resilient, are more carefully designed and constructed by necessity, and generally and always have reduced operating expenses. So that's very technical. But what's fun about this very technical thing is that if this was the only pathway to reversing climate change based on the studies that this particular team put together, about 9.7% of new buildings will need to be net zero by 2050, and the integrated opportunity would result in 7.1 gigatons of carbon dioxide offset. Just 10%. Doesn't seem like very much at all, especially when you consider where we live, when we're surrounded by a lot of people that get excited about innovations in general. So going back to the fun, not the death, going back to the fun, We have this community right here, and even though it's a very brief moment that we share this 1 hour, I would encourage you to think about the depth of how you engage your own career, your own time, your daily lives, and also the breadth of how we have to engage one another as a community. And after a while, when you say, I have to engage my family, at some point you might make the decision, oh, I get to engage my family, or I get to engage my community, or I get to engage this curious problem of climate change and really enjoy it and not feel like the sky is falling on us. So with that, I would like to talk a little bit about what the agenda is for today. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of net zero energy homes after Albert does a little bit of a level set of who's in this room and a briefing on the market. Aaliyah is going to come up and talk about the Built Green Net Zero certification. Tadashi is going to put on a show. And Joan is going to be talking about solar. So that's the agenda for today. Any questions before we get started?
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Albert Clark. I'm with Compass Real Estate. I'm here with Ashley Cohen. She's my left-hand person today. And tomorrow she'll be the right-hand person. I got a question for everyone as far as how many here are actually real estate brokers? Okay, quite a few of us. So what I want to kind of start off with is, how does everybody feel about the market? You know, any thoughts on how the market is right now? It's changing a little bit to some degree. We're feeling a little bit of normalizing, if you will, in some of our listings, or a lot of more options for buyers. Seeing a lot more price reductions.
Hopefully for someone my age.
All right.
Looking to buy a house at some point.
There's hope, right?
There's hope.
At the end of light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yes.
So I think what I'd like to talk about is really, for us as brokers, we have to have new conversations with our clients as to the changes that we see, and really what value we're presenting from their property standpoint, and then of course with buyers, what value should they look for in the homes that they're buying. And I think that's what, before maybe just a few months ago, you put a sign in the yard and it's gone quickly. 4 or 5 people are offering on it with hundreds of thousands of dollars over list price. Things have changed, and they've changed pretty quickly for us, and we still have to be smart in showing value. And I think that what we'll see here with net zero is, what is the value proposition for a home like this? And I think that's important for us to know, because this is the future of what we are trying to do in our community. And I'm excited about it. The other question I would have for everyone else, as far as brokers go, how many know what net zero is? Okay, not as many as raise their hands as brokers. I'm learning, just like most of us are learning, as to what it is, what's the benefit to us, what's the benefit to the market, and what is the benefit to our clients. And I think that you can see that Sam has a passion for net zero. Green Canopy has a passion for what they do, and I'm excited about working with them in this project, because it shows in just how he speaks about it. And you all showing up shows that you have some value to what they're doing too. So thank you all for coming, and hopefully we'll see you come through with your clients when we come on the market.
So I wanted to touch briefly on our theory of change. How many of you have even heard of the phrase theory of change before? Okay, so usually it's in more impact nonprofit organizations, but for Green Canopy, our mission is to build homes, relationships, and businesses that help regenerate communities and environments. And the reason why we have a theory of change is that mission has multiple facets. And the one that we're going to talk about today is that we want net zero energy homes to become the norm. And in some ways, it's kind of like how there's a long time ago when single pane windows was the norm, and there was a transition period, and there's some people that said, it's never gonna hold. But the transition does inevitably come. Unfortunately, that was pretty much the last building innovation that really took hold in our country. I'm kind of kidding about that, but really it's been incremental, relatively small steps over the history of our construction in America anyway. We also want good homes to be affordable. So part of that means that when we build net zero energy homes, our desire isn't that, oh, this is net zero energy. These homes are $1 million, but ours is net zero, so we're going to sell it for 1.2. The idea is $1 million market, we're going to sell it for $1 million because that's where we need to price for it to sell. And we recognize the fact that the market isn't at a place yet where just automatically there's solar panels and people are just going to buy it. We're disappointed by that. But the counter is that that's fun. That's a fun challenge. How do you inspire people to recognize the value? And we'd probably be okay if there were multiple offers and it escalated, but you get the point. Good forms of homes are affordable. That means that while this is one of the larger net zero energy homes we're ever going to build, probably the biggest, we also are employing net zero energy and net zero ready in townhomes in Seattle and in Portland, because we feel like it can't just be a movement for high-end homes, otherwise it's not really a movement at all. It's just a trend or a loss leader kind of innovation challenge that goes away. So we know that we need to keep putting comps in the market, so that way you as brokers are going to be able to say, okay, builders, great try, but could you see that there's other homes that are being sold right around the same price point as this one, and it's net zero energy? That means there's no energy bills, as an example. So we believe that that's the work that's important for us as a company, and that's the reason why we engage, because it's not just about selling this one home. It's highly unlikely that anyone in this particular room are going to be representing the buyer, although I wish that that was the case. It's about seeding the market and making sure that people start understanding what this is so we can build the momentum for the movement. So what does it mean to be a net zero energy home? The words that are here on the screen, if you can read them, you can just ignore them for a second. Because what I realize is that so often we think about the technical aspect of what we do, and there's some deep green builders over here in this sector, and I'm just like, these people know Tadashi knows so much about the nuance of how to put a deep green home together. The tricky thing is that the market is way over on the other end of the spectrum. So really, when we talk about net zero energy homes, we talk about savings, health, and soul. And soul is a proxy for comfort. This idea that there's a connection to who you are as a person, and the way that the AC would work better if there weren't 100 people in here. But this idea that there's comfort in the space that you live in the place that you reside. Using that as a framework, we're going to go into the technical elements, because I know that you need to know the technical aspects in order to sell the other side, or to be able to just communicate to buyers or builders on the other side. The three aspects, just to keep it super simple, is up top, we've got solar panels, produces energy. Thermal enclosure, this envelope is what we talk about: walls and ceilings, floors. The envelope disallows energy from escaping, right? Because that's where most of your energy loss is energy escaping your home, typically 70% of it, or right around. And then finally, high-performing systems. So you want systems that match the needs of the home. So whether we're talking about ductless heat pumps that are ultra efficient, or we're talking about LED lighting, that's what we're talking about for systems. So those are the three things. Now, we're going to go into some of the aspects, and I'm going to play a little game. So I'm going to tell you what the thing is, but your job is to tell me what the benefit is and what the advantage is in the market. Okay? So if you're a broker and I know you in this room, you should start getting really nervous, Anne. What do you think the benefit is for a roof like the metal roof up here that will last as long as your solar panels? How would you describe that?
Well, the roof is going to last a really long time. It's going to prevent heat escape, prevent heat gain. Your solar panels are going to live really happily on that strong roof for 50 years.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, the idea is that if you're putting a solar panel that optimally works at 20 years and will probably last twice that long, but you've got a comp roof that's going to last about 25, there's a bit of an imbalance in terms of how you installed those systems together, right? So the idea with this integrated system is an advantage over other homes, like right next door there's a comp roof, or many spec homes that have a TPO roof or other systems on top. Not to say that they're bad, it's just that this goes to 11. So highly efficient thermal enclosure, I'm going to give this one to Tadashi. What's the benefit? You're going to cover
It's going to be saves energy for sure, comfort, air quality. Actually, is super important too.
Yeah.
When you're able to control the air, and then you have ventilated systems provide the clean air and fresh air exactly where you want it. It creates an environment for indoor air quality that is just lovely.
And what's the advantage in the marketplace? Does anyone want to take that one? How would you define the advantage in the marketplace?
Well, you're going to pay less for your energy.
Yeah.
You're going to have fewer allergy and asthma problems, so your health is going to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be a lot more comfortable throughout the entire house.
Cool. Yeah, great.
It's the same reason they did double pane windows, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
You also have some sound protection.
that's great.
Highly insulated, you're going to hear less road noise.
That's right. Thanks, guys. So this insulation's blown-in insulation. How many people have seen the insulation blown in before, seen that process? Okay, a lot of people have. I'm going to try to move a little bit more quickly through this section. This is kind of a fun one. Who would like to take on the benefits of FSC? Does anyone want to take that on? Forest Stewardship Council certified materials? Yeah.
So it's kind of like organic produce. It's not just about the tree and the lumber you're getting out of it, it's the entire forest is healthily managed in perpetuity.
Love it.
Like organic produce is really more about the soil than the tomatoes you get. Probably a nutshell version.
I love that, but because I'm a little bit cynical about our market, what does it do for the buyer? I think there's something maybe.
Oxygen? No.
There's no difference.
We breathe oxygen and trees respirate.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely on the right path, and
Salmon, less pollution.
that's right.
Eco effect.
So I think one of the fun ways to talk about that is, first of all, you can buy this home with less guilt, even though construction is one of the most resource-intensive industries. You can buy this home with less guilt because guess what? When they cut down the wood in an FSC-certified forest, they didn't spray the entire forest and over the streams with atrazine because, for whatever reason, atrazine causes cancer for Europeans, not us. And so the salmon are more safe, our streams, our health as a community is better, and I get to feel proud about the fact that there's more FSC certified material. We are working on 100% certified FSC framing. We're not there yet, but most of the material that you'll see in this home is either FSC, SEI, or reclaimed. Fresh air, we've already talked about that. It's hard to feel that right now when we didn't prep this AC earlier before everyone came, so apologies for that. But the idea with the fresh air versus the AC is that a lot of people don't know this, but code requirements require that there's fresh air in every bedroom, for example. And one of the ways that lots of builders take care of that is basically punching high-tech walls through the windows or through the walls. That's the typical way to do it. But the system that you see just above the bar there is called an ERV, a spot ERV, and it exhausts air and brings in fresh air at the same time, and the energy mixes within a heat exchanger within that unit. And so there's fresh air all the time, even though this home is very, very airtight. There's also fresh air coming in all the time.
Is that just for this room?
Yeah. And there's multiple units through the house.
So does every unit have its own heat exchanger?
Yes. One more thing. There's something called a sense energy monitoring system. This gets hooked into, for this home, in the panel. And what it allows for the user to have is real-time tracking of their energy usage. Can anyone give me the benefit of that? Can you articulate the benefit of having that?
Well, it's kind of like rubbing your dog's nose in its pee 5 hours later. You know what's happening. Like, you can actually get your nose rubbed in it like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Yeah. Could you guys hear that in the back, by the way? Okay. That was funny. What's the advantage of this over conventional home without?
Well, you're reacting immediately to your loss of energy. So you can say, okay, I left the light on in the bathroom, so turn it off, and it turns out.
That's great. Yeah.
Immediate response.
Thank you. There's also home automation throughout this home. I won't go into the details of what's in the package of this particular home, but the idea is that is also in drawdown one of the strategies used, automation for some of the systems in buildings and homes. So occupancy sensors, those things also help cut down on the load, especially rooms like a pantry where you go in and your hands are full as you leave. It's very difficult to turn the light off. So those are some of the strategic places where automation is important. Thanks for playing that game with me. I'm going to move on. Tadashi's going to be talking more about third-party audit, the process by which a net zero energy home becomes that by third party. But I'm going to turn it over to Leah.
All right, so how many of you have heard of Built Green? Raise your hand. Yes, most of you. So I'm going to give a really high-level overview about Built Green, hopefully especially for those real estate agents in the room. I'll be providing you with some language about which to talk about these homes, because I think it's really important. There's a lot of greenwashing out there. Do you know what greenwashing means? Raise your hand. Half of you? Basically means people are saying something's really environmentally friendly and it's not. So that's why third-party audits and also having a certification program are really important, because what we're doing is when Green Canopy is saying, hey, this house is awesome, we're taking a look at it and make sure it's really awesome, so you have that proof behind it. In addition, a lot of times builders are able to get incentives from the city, for example, for building a green project. So I'm going to help you communicate those benefits of the certification and what the certification actually is to potential clients. So first of all, what is Built Green? Built Green is a program of the Master Builders Association, and we certify homes. We don't do commercial, we just do residential building. But nowadays, over half of new residential construction in the city of Seattle is being certified through our program. So if you're dealing at all with new construction, that's really important to know. What is Built Green? Oh, keeps going. But our mission, we do have a mission to serve as the driving force behind environmentally sound construction in the state of Washington. So what do we actually do though? As I mentioned, we certify projects, but we also have a membership program, so we try to help market green building to builders and also help them market their homes and the benefits of their homes. And we work with government affairs to communicate benefits to builders, the public, to local governments, to try to make sure that green building becomes the norm rather than the exception. So that's kind of what Sam was talking about, disrupting the market and showing, you know, this change right now, we're on the forefront and the cusp of it, but everybody can get there. We're a step ahead perhaps, but we hope everybody gets there. So specific to this home, Built Green has different certification levels, but we have a net zero energy label. So on top of certification, so when you're certifying a home as Built Green, you have to be very water efficient, you have to take care of the site on which you're building, you have to use healthy, durable, environmentally friendly materials, and the home has to be very energy efficient. But we also have this label. So basically we're requiring that a home demonstrates through what is an energy model, projecting the use of energy of the home, that is going to be net zero energy. So over the course of the year, the solar panels on this home are going to produce at least as much energy as the people in this home are using. So at the end of the year, the homeowners are not going to have any bill. They're actually probably going to have a net credit because of some of the credits that we'll get to later on. We also collect data on these homes to make sure that these homes are performing as they should, so we can learn from previous examples of homes, whether or not something's working. Thankfully, so far, all of the homes that we've certified as net zero actually have been performing, so that's really exciting and great, and we've only heard positive things from the homeowners. We've actually heard from a lot of homeowners that living in this home showed them what a home really could be. Like once they were in a really nice home, they were like, oh man, my old home wasn't that great, but it was really cool because they also learned and adapted to living in their new homes and using that information to change their behavior and live in a way that actually saved them a lot of money. So there's a lot of benefits, so I'm going to go through the different kinds of benefits for who you're talking to. So benefits to the builder, you might recognize one of these or two of these folks. It shows that this builder is being proactive rather than reactive. Now, what do you think is better if you're operating in a market, if you're a business person? Yeah, you want to be ahead of the curve, otherwise you're going to have trouble staying in business. You're going to be barely hanging on, right? So I think being proactive is not only business smarts, but it shows that you really care about what you're doing, and the product is going to be higher quality because that much more thought goes into it. Also, it's just good for the builder to keep ahead of code cycles, because it can be a pain to adjust, but if you do it on your own terms ahead of time, that's really useful. Secondly, there's green building incentives out there. City of Seattle offers them. If you're a builder, you can get your permit faster, you can get a density bonus. So the city is really interested in having more green building going on. So as a builder, you can take advantage of that through a certification program. Marketplace differentiation. If this house is priced at the same price as the house next door, but this one's net zero energy, this one has more thought that went into it, well, which would you choose? And then life cycle versus listing price. I called this out and you had mentioned it actually. If you're looking at the cost of a home, most people are going to take out a mortgage. Not everybody, I'm not that person. Take out a mortgage, and you're going to have a monthly payment, right? So a lot of times people look at the sticker price of the home and okay, what this mortgage is going to mean for me, this is my monthly payment. But they're not thinking about all the other costs associated with a home, especially utility bills. If you're not paying utility bills, you can put all that money instead into a mortgage price and afford something that had a little bit higher sticker price, but the overall cost of the home is not going to be any different. And finally, it's important to do business for good. Like Sam was saying, we have one life, we should have fun with it, right? And so enjoy what you're doing. Feel like you're having a positive impact. Who doesn't like that? Why not? Benefits to home dwellers. We've touched on these a little bit when we're talking about selling. Again, more people you recognize in another net zero energy home by Green Canopy. So cost, as I mentioned, the life cycle cost, and also your lower utility bills. No utility bills. It's more comfortable. It's healthier. It's durable. You're not going to have to worry about replacing things. The design is amazing. You're having an impact, and you're part of a community. There's more to a home than just, you know, oh, I bought this home. There's no, like, when you live in a home, you want to have an attachment, right? You want to get involved in your community. And net zero is a sort of an avenue for that. You're living in a better home, and you have something that you can share with people that all care about something. And the homeowner experience, as I said, we've actually gone back and talked to homeowners after living in these homes for a couple of years. What were you expecting? What was different? What was hard? What was easy? Were you satisfied? And every homeowner we've talked to has been really happy. This couple lives in a home up in Ballard that's net zero energy, and they actually said we didn't have to change our habits that much. The house helped us be efficient. So it's a really, really cool thing when you can learn from your home, and the home helps shift your behavior in a way that you're going to be saving money and be more comfortable. So, any questions or comments specifically about Built Green? Yes?
I was talking to someone, and when I said it's a net zero home, they're first, they work for the EPA. Mm-hmm. How much does the process of construction offset when it's done, the net zero value? That was their question, and I was like, I don't.
Do you mean like the carbon emissions from building, or?
The construction is not a net zero process. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So they wanted to know, it's like, well, how much is it offset? And they have a lot of technical questions.
Yep. It totally depends on the context, where you're building, what utility grid you're using.
Is that something that you take into account, or? or that you can?
There are people who look at embodied carbon life cycles of homes. When we're talking about net zero in this context, we're not thinking about that. And also the embodied carbon in the construction practice, it's impossible for me to say because the context per different site is so different, yeah. But there are people who look at that, including some people in this room actually that I know, but when we're talking about this specifically, we're not looking at the construction, yeah. Okay.
Real estate agents who might want to come to the conference.
Yes, September 13th, Built Green is having a conference. We're actually going to have awards. The Green Genius Awards are going to be given to some of the real estate agents who are doing a really amazing job at marketing and selling green homes. So y'all should check it out.
I am so excited to be here right now. I'm telling you, it's like been a 10-year journey to get to this moment, to work with Sam on this incredible project. And today what I want to talk about briefly, just because I know everybody's waiting to have some fun and drink some alcohol, so am I. But what that's for sure. What I want to do is give a brief history on sort of like the Seattle Green Building, and then describe what we've done here, just so you give you an idea on how incredible making a net zero house is here in Seattle. Well, my name is Tadashi. Just one name, just like Cher and Madonna. Tadashi. And I'm the owner of Evergreen Certified. We are the Built Green verification company for many of the projects here in Seattle. However, I'd like to tell you a brief history, because I wasn't always a Built Green verifier. In fact, when I was 19 years old, I got which was 30 years ago. In fact, my birthday was just on Monday. I turned 45 on 49 on Monday. I was going to tell everybody I was going to be 59. I was really going to say I was at 59, just so you say, man, those Asians look young. But at 19, I got my real estate license. I became a broker at 19. And then basically at 20 years of being in the real estate game, it was 2008 and 2009. Does everybody sort of like remember that time frame? What happened, right? How was the market? Boom, right? Right, exactly. It was horrible. Bankruptcies, foreclosures, short sales. I mean, all my business associates were going out of business. It was horrible, right? But the economic crisis at that time, you know what that spurred on? My midlife crisis. That's right. At 39 years old, I was like, oh my God. I can't be self-absorbed, and my whole lifestyle of sex, drugs, and rock and roll really wasn't a very good thing for a 39-year-old to be doing anymore. And so I thought, oh, that's also what my wife and my therapist told me. But then I thought to myself, hey, what can I actually do? I had this epiphany. You know what saved me? Building science. That's right. I had this mission of how can I actually make the most energy efficient home in the world? Can you imagine trying to talk to that to your builders at the 2008, 2009? Oh, it was horrible, right? My friends and family thought I just lost my mind. That went crazy, right? But I didn't care. I thought, okay, let's try to do it, right? I convinced one real estate developer, Bow Development, in this area, in the central area by Judkins Park, to do the first Department of Energy Builders Challenge in Seattle. Has anybody ever heard of that? I know, it was, oh, thank you there, Tom, thank you. So back in 2009, it was a call out to builders that said, hey, can you build something that's 30% more energy efficient than code, right? So I thought, oh, in Seattle, with being such an incredible green city and proactive city, there must be hundreds of these houses being built already, right? I called up the DOE, and I said, hey, how many of these homes have been built here? Guess how many? At that, zero. So I said, fantastic, we're going to be the first. So, with a lot of training, with a lot of tutelage, even from Tom during that time, we were able to do the first Department of Energy Builders Challenge in 2009, which was outrageous. But then, the market started to grow, right? We went from one client to 2 clients to 3 clients, and the company kept on growing. But we started making these energy efficient homes But the missing piece was net zero. How can we do net zero? Then 4 years ago, Sam came into my life. It was like when I was listening to Sam and Green Canopy, they were talking to me, it was like the clouds started to part and the sun hit my face and God sounded like Sam. And you said, oh, I want to provide affordable housing that's sustainable and net zero. And I was like, hallelujah, yes, let's do it. Then the reality came, oh, how do we actually do this and put it in the marketplace? So over a lot of beers and drinking and trying to figure it out, well, we took Green Canopy's goals, right? We want to be net zero. We want to be durable and healthy. We want to provide great indoor air quality and try to figure out how we can actually make this work. Because normally, net zero meant net zero profit, right? So how actually we can have a sustainable business and be sustainable itself, right? So that was the goal. And it's super hard to do this because look at, when you think about all this energy that we're using in this house right now, space heating, space cooling, domestic hot water, plug loads, refrigerators, computers, all that stuff using energy, how can we provide enough solar panels and be efficient so that over a year we have enough more energy or balance energy and consumption and make money? It's very, very difficult. So this is what we came with. But here's another question. To show you how difficult it is, so Leah, how many net zero houses for spec that you know of in Seattle?
Handful?
A handful. Even today, just a handful. Can you imagine, like, okay, we have sent 533 people into space. 12 of those people walked on the moon. We have less than 12 projects that have actually been spec building here in Seattle. Isn't that incredible? So that means building science is actually harder than rocket science. And it's really quite the accomplishment for Green Canopy to put their flag in there and doing something that they're not doing it because they have to, they're doing it because it's the right thing to do. In fact, what I'm so proud of is every time I meet you and your team, I mean, it's like they're all singing the same praises, passionate. Even their dogs in your office are all just incredible. It's like they're all drinking from the same punch bowl that was spiked with like green ecstasy. So I just want to commend you for all the stuff that you've been doing. But what we've done here, and some of the things that we've learned, right, is that it's actually not that complicated to do. So here's some, I don't know if you could see that, here's some of the code specs for green building here in Seattle. And these are the stuff that we actually had to change, which is a lot of stuff. But when we first started having these conversations, right, Sam? What were some of the surprises for you?
We thought that we were going to have to do really exotic framing, or we were going to have to use SIPs panels.
Or double walls,
double stud wall.
triple pane windows. Pretty expensive stuff.
Ground source heat pumps.
Ground source heat pumps, absolutely. And then what we found out is that, hey, you know what? We actually didn't have to do that. We did standard walls, but with blown-in insulation. We did super high performance heating systems and cooling systems. Also the performance for the domestic hot water tanks. And if anybody wants to see these specs, we can send it to you for sure. What we've done here, we did ERV, which we already discussed regarding the whole ventilation systems, LED lighting, and the big kahuna, which is the photovoltaics. We did 12.9 kW on this house. Really amazing.
How much does a typical home that's about 3,600 square feet consume? Would you imagine typical code-built home?
On an annual basis, you're probably spending about $1,400 a year.
It's like 25,000 kilowatt hours a year.
Oh,
yes.
Something like that.
Oh, yeah.
25 to 30,000.
Oh, yeah, yes, absolutely, because this is 12, yes, absolutely.
So this is a little bit more than a third.
A little bit less, yeah. So important to reduce the loads, right? Which is very important. So that, and then add as much solar power as you can provide here, which makes it a HERS 0, which is quite the accomplishment. I really want to, let's everybody give Green Canopy a hand. Seriously. It's amazing. It is quite the accomplishment because so few people are doing it. And to be the leaders in this industry, it's been a great honor.
Hi, I'm Joan Schrammick with Northwest Electric and Solar. Yes, we did put solar on the rooftop here, this roof that faces south. And Northwest Electric and Solar does a lot of solar installations around the region and around the state. We also do the electrical wiring for new construction and a lot of electric car charging stations. In fact, 15 to 20 electric car charging stations a week right now. We have 18 crews out and about, and Derek White is the owner, not me. And is this roof? Is that? No, okay, but it's similar. The roof here has 43 solar panels, and that's a 12.9 kilowatt size solar system. Okay. It is entirely possible to generate enough electricity over the course of a whole year to offset the use of a home. That's not to say that every single day you generate enough electricity for the home to use that day, but over the course of a whole year. So that's the net zero part. And so just some basics. The sun shines on the solar panels. The solar panels make direct current electricity. The direct current is converted to AC for use in the building and to attach to the grid by an inverter. And today all the inverters come with online monitoring, and so that's why, like with the Sense, you can see online what the solar panels are producing and see that they're working. It's really fun on your cell phone or your computer. If there's a power outage, the solar system automatically shuts down. It is not a source of backup power. So we like to make that clear, unless you add batteries. So that's an added expense, but the Tesla Powerwall batteries work great. And yes, that can be done. Whenever there's extra electricity generated then, beyond what is being used in the home at that time, it goes out to the grid. It gets retail rate credits at the grid that you draw down those credits later. That's called net metering, and it's part of the net zero, the whole concept of net zero. So it is a grid-tied solar system. Photovoltaic means it turns sunshine into electricity. Washington State and Western Washington in particular is often compared to Germany. Germany is the world leader in the use of solar electricity. But we have some advantages here, which is, one is that we have cooler temperatures, which mean that the solar system is actually more efficient. It operates better with cooler temperatures than in California or Arizona or even Eastern Washington. Our rain keeps the solar panels clean, although you do want to do a good cleanup in the summertime, early spring, late spring. And we have about 3/4 of the solar resource that Sacramento has. So that just goes to show that we really do have enough sunshine to make it work. This is a color chart that shows Germany as well as Western Washington. The blue in Germany, in southern Germany, matches the Puget Sound region, and so that kind of is a graphic way of seeing the amount of solar resource that we have available here. And of course, Eastern Washington has a lot more. So there are financial incentives to help everyone earn back their upfront cost. Typically, we are installing solar on existing homes, on existing roofs. Here, it was solar from the beginning, from the start, from the very beginning, the plan, and that works great. But here are the incentives for anyone who adds solar later or who has it built in. Federal incentive, which is 30% of the purchase price of the solar system, comes back to you as an income tax credit. So 30% of the total price. There's a state production incentive that pays based on the kilowatt hours that the solar system produces. I'm going to go through the details in a minute, and then net metering that we already mentioned. The federal program, 30% of the purchase price, the total purchase price, including state sales tax, comes back as an income tax credit on the taxes the first year. So if you go solar right now, then next year when you're doing your taxes, you would get back that income tax credit. So on a $20,000 solar system, that would be $6,000 back. And typical prices for residential size solar systems are between $20,000 and $30,000. That incentive ends June 30, or pardon me, at the end of 2019, it goes down. So if you don't get your solar installed this year or next year, the following year, 2020, it would be 26% instead of 30%. Phasing out as solar prices go down nationwide. Then there's the state program, and this is called the Washington Production Incentive, and it's based on kilowatt hours that the solar system produces. We add a new meter to the home. There's one outside over that direction. A new meter to the home called a production meter, and it measures all the solar electricity that comes off the rooftop. And then you get a check per kilowatt hour for all the kilowatt hours generated by that solar system. The check goes for 8 years or until you earn back 50% of the total purchase price. So 50% over 8 years. It ends when you get to 50%. So if you don't make it to 8 years, then it cuts off at that point. And that check is based on the June 30th year end. For made in Washington systems installed right now, it's 18 cents a kilowatt hour, or made outside Washington, then it's 14 cents a kilowatt hour. So there's a bonus of 4 cents a kilowatt hour for made in Washington solar panels. And we're installing solar panels that are made from a company called iTech Energy in Bellingham. They're terrific. They've been installed all over the state, and they are definitely expanding their market to go beyond the state of Washington at this time. And then net metering. We mentioned it at the beginning, but this is where you also get the full value of all the solar energy that comes off of your roof. So you either don't buy electricity today because your solar panels made it for you, or you bank that extra credit onto your utility bill and then draw that down later when you need to reduce your bill. So typically for Western Washington, we'll earn credits in the summer, and you'll see those add up on your bill, and then spend those credits in the winter so that your bill stays as low as possible. It is not possible to get your bill to zero because the utility is still going to charge you a monthly minimum fee that has to do with filling out their paperwork, reading your meters, and sending you a bill. So it's not possible to go to zero, but you can offset all of the electricity that you use. So in those first 8 years, you get the full value of the production incentive and the full value of net metering. For the cost of electricity, as it goes up over time, that's going to increase the value of the solar system on the roof. After 8 years, then you continue to get the net metering value for perpetuity. The solar system is warranted at 25 years. It will produce at least 80% of the power that it did originally. And it will keep producing power beyond 25 years. That's just the warranty, but 25, 30, 35, 40 years, absolutely, keep producing power. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, the inverter. The inverter part has a 12-year warranty, so we do build into our cash flow projections that would be replaced twice over the course of the years, and it's not a lot of money. So this is just a graphic way of saying 50% from the production incentive, 30% from the federal income tax credit, and 20% from net metering. You earn back all your upfront cost in 8 years or less. So what's the process like to go solar if you already have a house and you want to add solar to it? We do a preliminary estimate based on a satellite image of your roof or based on the PDF of your roof plans, and then we can figure out the size of the solar system, how much power it's going to produce, what the price is, and what the payback is. How fast will you earn back all your upfront cost? And we can send that to you by email within, a matter of days, 3 or 4 days. And it doesn't require that we come out and actually see your place that time, because we have really good satellite imagery that can do computer modeling of solar on your rooftop. But then, of course, we will come out and do an in-person site assessment to confirm all those details. If you would like to get a loan, there are great credit unions that have special money for solar loans. You can get as low as 0 down on solar loans and very good rates. And then it's not part of your home mortgage unless you want it to be. And then you would combine it with your home mortgage. Northwest Electric and Solar does all the paperwork for all the incentives, for all the inspections, and for the interconnection with the utility. We take care of all of that so that it's really easy for you, and it's about a 2 to 3 day installation process. Yes, annually there is maintenance required, which really has to do with washing the solar panels. They're just going to go up there on the roof and work, but soiling is the one thing that can reduce their power output. So when we get that green sticky pollen in late spring, it's a good time at the end of May to get them washed. A regular window washer can do it, or we can do it. A lot of people are getting into the business of washing solar panels, but you want to know that they know what they're doing. We don't want pressure washing on the solar panels. And then, of course, you can use your online monitoring to see that your solar system is producing. I think that's, yeah. So I think we're up for all kinds of questions for any of us at this point.
That's right. So I think this is the time where you could potentially direct your question to whomever you choose. I already saw a hand right there. But could we all get up in front during this time? Did you want to start?
Why did you use a portable ERV instead of a centralized?
Sure. So for us, a lot of it just had to do with the efficiency and scale of using the same system in every type of home. And also we did a cost-benefit analysis of different types of systems. In particular, just the physical installation of ductwork to a central system was one of the more difficult things for scale. I think if you were doing a custom home and you wanted to have a centralized location where you change your filter just in one location, and you might choose to do that, but for production we decided to go with a more scalable route.
What's the manufacturer?
Which one is this?
Panasonic.
Yep. Tom.
Yeah, I'm curious, how are you approaching the federal tax credit? Are you putting the panels on house before you sell it? Or are you letting the buyer purchase them so they can take the tax credit?
It's a great question. So right now we are purchasing them, and if the buyer has tax credit, has the opportunity, the buyer can take the benefit from us. That has been a tricky piece, yeah. The reason why it's been tricky is that's not the thing to lead with because it's a little bit difficult to explain, but it is absolutely something important for our buyer to be aware of, that opportunity exists.
So you can transfer it to them?
It can be transferred, and every time I say that I have to say, and ask your CPA.
Talk to your CPA.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Yeah.
So I have to
Sure.
I really appreciate that you provided this kind of a chance for us. But what I would like to see is, what made you drive to build this net zero solar house when you can build 2 small house, you can almost sell $1 million from this market?
Yeah, great question. So, as you know, you're a licensed architect or designer?
Yeah.
It's all about the zoning. So the base of the deal always has to be based on what's the yield of the lot. In this location, it's SF 5000, so there's really nothing else you can do. In a low-rise zone, we're going to get the highest yield we possibly can. Otherwise, we would never be able to buy anything. So we have to compete at the fundamental level, which is that we have to pay basically the highest price that the market will bear, which is basically just market value, because no one is saying, hey, you're building net zero, we'll let you buy it for $100,000 less. So We have to get the highest yield, just like any developer, and then that's what tells us. Well, I can tell you that what is most tricky is the smaller the home, the more difficult it is for us to build net zero energy. The models are just proving that, there's still a kitchen, even in a small home, so it's harder to balance. The larger the home, the easier it is to get enough solar orientation.
On the other side of the spectrum, though, what we're trying to do is to create more affordable housing in Seattle. It won't be net zero, however, we're doing another market sector, which would be small condominiums. So condominiums that are 250, 300 square feet that are going to enter the marketplace. And we're having some first projects out there that are going to actually do that. And we're excited about that. The only thing that we're trying to do for the legislative area is try to make sure that it's a more fair and balanced regarding not being sued for the developers. But that's coming on the marketplace, and those projects will be between $250,000 to maybe $300,000 in nice neighborhoods like Eastlake and Capitol Hill. So that's coming up right now too, and they'll be super green.
And I want to add to that just quickly the importance of urban density when it comes to buyer choice and also affordability. I think that's something that's really important to keep in mind, especially for younger folks getting into the market to start a market. Not everybody's going to have a standalone single-family home. And so I think it's really cool that we are working on these different models, and Green Canopy is doing that as well. They do a lot of townhome developments, for example. There's not one size fits all for green building or for affordable housing or for neighborhoods. And so I think that's just something important to keep in mind.
Anne?
Who is your architect?
This was designed by Green Canopy. So, yeah. Kim Shipley is the licensed architect on this project. Yes?
Was the roof line designed first, or was the solar panel spec'd to be a certain size and then you had asymmetrical roof line?
Both. Yeah. It happened in collaboration with each team. Good question. Tom?
How do you feel about the appraisal value on net zero homes?
Yeah, great question. Yeah. So the way that I am currently valuing, so whenever we put together a lending package, I complete an internal appraisal, and then we always have a third-party appraiser come in and do run the valuation. And I can tell you that about 90% of the time my values are lower than the appraiser, the third-party appraiser. But that's just because we need to run our cash flows and our business on what is dependable. And the way that I see dependability is until there's more than 50% net zero energy homes in the market, I can't put any weight on that. I'm not going to bank on it. However, if someone was to pay us more in order to keep us going and keep running the mission, then absolutely, we'd be excited about that. We haven't experienced it yet. It feels very much like we are within the market norm, sometimes on the higher end, but we are very much within the market norm. Yeah.
If you built this home to current spec with similar quality of flooring and countertops and all that, but without some of the green features, would it be about the same cost, or would this be 20% higher, or how is that?
Yeah, when we went through our process, so how we didn't just start building projects. The process that Tadashi and our teams went through, and by the way, thank you so much for the recognition to Green Canopy. And Green Canopy is not me. Green Canopy is
not you.
A lot of team members who are awesome and are. I think the most interesting process that we went through is the fact that we went through 6 different project types. We ran through probably about a half dozen designs for each one, running the model over and over again until we got the budget to the lowest we could, while still offering the net zero energy dependable product output. And what we realized is it ranged between, depending on the size of the home, between 9 to about 10% additional construction costs to build. Hard costs.
What's really important about building your brand, which is reputation, right now everything is selling, as we all know. It's a super hot market, even though it might have plateaued a little bit. But this, what I did see in the last downturn was that the people who built a brand and put out a better product, when the marketplace turns, and the marketplace will turn because we're on a long 10-year cycle right now at the end of it, when it does turn, when you build your brand and you have that reputation out there, when buyers have more choice, they're going to choose you, Green Canopy products, over the rest. So it's almost like an insurance policy in this type of marketplace. So you can survive.
The hope is also that it's not just green canopy. The idea is that we're not going to be able to convert the entire housing stock of new construction. We're not going to get to that 10% or even that 50% that we hope to get to in this state. We need everyone in our industry to start seeing that and seeing that as an exciting.
What is actually exciting in Seattle, the bright spot is the programs like Jess Harris is running there, and with Ellen, for sure, at the DCI, it's a Priority Green program, and also the FAR incentive that gives builders incentives to build green. So now in Seattle for new construction, what is the latest number? How many people are getting certified now?
It's over half. Half of new construction, new residential construction is going through the Build Green program. 67% last year of single-family homes and townhomes. When you bring multifamily into that loop, it's, I think, 53% of all residential.
It is incredible. My company went from one builder, now we're working with 250 builders right now in Seattle. We have over 400 projects. And so this is a lot, and this has a lot to do with incentives. So thank you very much, Jess and Ellen.
For context, I started with Build Green in 2014. We have already certified more projects this year to date, than I certified in my first year at Build Green. So a lot of growth.
And so Seattle is truly leading the nation regarding green building in the country. So we're living in a little mecca here, but it is a bright spot, and what we're doing here really matters. And I think the takeaway is to what, instead of in this crazy world right now of looking at what everybody else is doing wrong or something like that, when you go to my office, actually on our wall, there's a quote from Mahatma Gandhi which says, "Be the change you want to see in the world." And that's what I want to leave everybody with. You know, we can all change and create a difference and make a world definitely a better and brighter place.
There was a question that always comes up in conversations with buyers that I wanted to just touch on briefly, because I know that you will be experiencing it at some point, and it's the question of the energy model itself. And the question goes like this: okay, so this is a net zero energy home, but like, what if I leave this light on all the time? So it's really, like, that's just based on a model, right? So it's not really real. So in some ways, it's similar to how you could buy a Prius, and it says that you can drive at 40 miles per gallon, for example, but you could be a lead weight in the way in which you drive. It's going to affect the model. However, there has been some recent study, and I'll let you talk about this, Leah, about how whether the models are conservative or whether they're aggressive to how real buyers actually live.
So Build Green did a study. We got actual electricity use data from every single-family home or townhome that was built in Seattle in 2014. So once we cleaned the data, we had electricity use data for over 700 homes. And with that, we were able to compare how Built Green homes were performing at our different levels of certification to homes that we assume were built to code, right? They weren't certified. And what we found out was actually Built Green homes were performing on average even better than we expected based on the energy model. So whenever we create an energy model, you need to have an experienced modeler do it. That's why we have third-party verifiers out in the field that we vet, like Tadashi's team, Tom. Really important. And we have energy modeling protocols. So there's actually guidelines for how to do this. You can't just make weird assumptions and throw things in. We have a specific protocol that's conservative. We make it that way. And so we're really excited that we actually have found out, yeah, on average, our energy models are more conservative than we think. Of course, that doesn't mean that that's a guarantee for every single house. That's on average. So we know our average environmental impact, and our aggregate environmental impact is even better than we expected. But again, you can't turn on the AC and open all the windows and leave all the lights on. That's irresponsible, and that's going to affect it. But we do have a really solid protocol and evidence that if a home is being lived in normally, like an average person, like the people who bought these homes in 2014 in Seattle, that they're going to be performing as expected.
How we like to put it is that homeowners are our partners in the net zero energy lifestyle. It's not just the home, it's actually the homeowner that completes the entire system. Not just the panels, not just the envelope, not just the systems, the homeowners, the home occupants themselves. Yes?
Have you thought about or created a way to calculate the potential value added of not only the energy savings, but healthcare cost savings, operating cost savings, maintenance, like longevity of the product? kind of a total package?
We don't really have enough data points to be able to do a great study, unfortunately. Yeah.
Couldn't you at least with the net zero say the average energy cost per square foot in Seattle is X and
Yes.
you're not paying that?
Yeah, so that's a very simple regression analysis where you can just put the number there. The tricky thing in Seattle is that we pay much, much less than the true cost of electricity just in general. And so therefore, when you say, hey, you're going to save $2,000 a year for this, $1 million home, $2 million home, it's like, it's not very exciting financially. So really it's about the engagement of purpose, engagement of what you get excited about, and the comfort. Again, going back to health, comfort, soul, from the sales process standpoint.
Outside of Seattle, that's story to change.
Yeah. Go to Hawaii, that makes a lot of sense. I think we're going to close it up. Thank you so much for your time.